We often think about what makes a great client, and a great client is someone who really understands who they are and what they want out of a project and are able to articulate that. And these guys came with some really strong and interesting architectural reference points.
They really had a sense of the style and how they wanted to live.
Hi, I'm Michael Roper. I'm a director at Architecture.
And I'm Angus Hamilton, a project architect at Architecture.
Welcome to Sunday. We're in Fitzroy in the heart of in-urban Melbourne, pretty densely built up area. Fitzroy is one of Melbourne's oldest suburbs. A lot of Victorian terraces, workers' cottages like this one. You know, very much an old suburb with all of its character. They came to us with a really well-written brief that described the kinds of things that they like.
They'd lived here for a long time before, and they knew what didn't work in the previous house and how they wanted to sort of adjust and change that into this.
The house as we found it is an old workers' cottage. And so, you know, typically you've got a corridor down one side of the house and all the rooms coming off on the other side. And now what you've got is this kind of open study space / guest quarters, bifold doors that really effectively close that off and make it a private guest space when you want it to be. Continuing on down the hall, you've got the guest bathroom, and it's got a great big window out onto the light court, which is doing so much work. Moving on through to the main part of the house, you arrive in what is the kitchen dining space, and this is really the heart of the home.
We've designed a sunken lounge just off the kitchen space, and that's where we've used the yellow through that into the upholstery, into the carpet, to give it that really great pop and to bring the client's personality into that space as well.
They had a real love of Louis Barragan's use of colour, and particularly the bold yellow. Really early on, we put to the client this idea that their bedroom and ensuite would be its own separate pavilion down the back of the site, and that you would have to step outside from the main house in order to get to this pavilion.
The courtyard acts as another room, an outdoor room, which works incredibly well with the garden and gives you a great connectedness to the outside.
Yeah, it's a little bit of jungle in the middle of the house. Virginia grew up in a Paul Cooch house, which has a real affinity for this kind of robust material palette that we see, and had a real interest in the work of Geoffrey Bawa, that real kind of openness and breeziness. So the kind of natural marriage point of those two ideas is, you know, the breeze block that we see in this project. The guy who laid these blocks said to us that he really loved them, but he normally sees them in people's backyard gardens. We liked using something which felt known and, on the one hand, readily available, but on the other hand, maybe used in a way that they typically wouldn't be.
It was good to work with Brickworks. We enjoyed the process. We looked at using a cavity brick system for the boundary walls. There's a few benefits to that, one of them being really great solidity along those boundaries. We're only 4 shops away from a pub. We're not very far away from a major road and trams, and all that white noise gets cut out and you feel very much protected. But then also, obviously on the internal side, having the aesthetic that we were really striving for. And that's one of the best bits about the house, I think, is when you come here, you feel like you're in a sanctuary. I think it was good to have a conversation about where we could potentially save some money, and Brickworks were good at helping us through that process and giving us options as to what blocks were available and what their costs were. They were very transparent throughout that whole process, which was great. I really love the sense of tranquility that you get when you come through this space. It has this great dynamic between the kind of different types of living that you can do here, which I really like, and whenever I come here I feel quite calm.
I think the thing that I'm most excited about for this house is just seeing how it looks in 5, 10, 15, 20 years time. I think it's going to hold up really well. I think the materials are going to age really nicely, and just watching that garden take over the central courtyard and really turn that into a little jungle is something I'm really looking forward to seeing, if the clients will let us see it. If not, I follow them on Instagram.